But let's straight away join a frenzied 53,000 crowd and John Motson at Goodison Park.
And two new captains, Ken Dalglish and Martin Dobson, lead out the sides for the 119th Merseyside derby in the Football League. The usual fantastic reception, this year Argentina style. Goodison absolutely packed. 54,000 is the limit on the crowd, and those Everton supporters have waited 7 years to see their team beat Liverpool. The last victory they had was in 1971, and to those people it seemed like a lifetime. Now under Gordon Lee, they're unbeaten as well. They've survived longer in Europe than Liverpool. Will the tide turn today? But the Liverpool supporters, fed on so much success, can point to a league record where their team have scored 35 goals already in 11 league matches and dropped only 1 point. And they also know that in the last 15 Merseyside derbies, Liverpool have had 8 wins and 7 draws. Well, the crowd have just heard today's team news, and Everton are missing one very important player. No Mike Lyons, who's normally the captain. So at number 4, Roger Kenyon plays his first league match of the season after much injury. Trevor Ross also had a calf strain, so he's substitute, and Jeff Nolte continues in midfield. Nolte, one of 4 players on that team sheet, playing in his first Merseyside derby. The others are Colin Todd at number 2, young Billy Wright at number 5, and at number 10, Mick Walsh. Bob Paisley has been involved in Merseyside derbies as player, coach and manager for over 30 years. And the face of experience is one which means so much on a day like this. The team he's picked today is the successful unchanged side, which means no place for Hughes and no place for McDermott, who's on the bench. So Liverpool have 2 players tasting the atmosphere of this special occasion for the first time. Alan Kennedy at number 3 and Graham Souness at number 11. At number 10 there, David Johnson, who has the distinction of having scored the winning goal for both sides in his career in a Merseyside derby. And at number 9, Steve Highway, who's passed a fitness test, playing his 300th league match for Liverpool. And Mick Lyons, who's an Evertonian through and through, has been all his life so bitterly disappointed to miss this important match. So Pat Partridge, England's World Cup referee in Argentina, takes charge today. He was the referee when Liverpool lost the League Cup final replay to Nottingham Forest by a penalty last season. Gordon Lee takes his seat, knowing what a win would do today for his reputation as the Everton manager. So Liverpool in red, kick-off, playing from the right. Not just the match of the day, but on paper, the match of the season. Everton, blue shirts and white shorts. Latchford getting up with Hansen. Here's Walsh. Thomas has gone wide. Nolte in the box as well. Latchford came near post. That's the ball that Everton love to play. And Bob Latchford always looks for Dave Thomas to get the ball into the near post. A move that Everton thrive on and get so many goals from. And Thomas can bend them in as well as any winger in the country. Trevor Ross was served on Gordon Lee's right. Case. Latchford again the target. Did well there, Todd. Nice play, Nolte. Robson, good stop from Everton. This is Andy King. Todd, back again to King. King in again. Dobson, King. What a scramble. Latchford shot, well stopped. And away by hand. Latchford. Terry McDermott in the goalkeeper's jersey on the right, the substitute. And on Bob Paisley's other side, Joe Fagan. And now Ray Kennedy. Johnson's made a run through the inside left channel. Here's Highway. Alan Kennedy. Johnson. Nice turn, Dalglish. Johnson again. Souness in the middle this time. Being joined by Case. Ray Kennedy, Souness, nicely away from Andy King. Oh, good try. Souness feels it was deflected. The referee says not. It was a nice approach to that shot by Souness. He just moved to one side of his midfield marker, Andy King, and made space for the shot. This sun's going to be quite a problem for the Liverpool defence in the first half. See the shadows being cast there on the pitch. Hansen covering for Thompson. And again. Pajic that was. Looking for Latchford. Oh my word! Oh! Clements gets a let off. And so do Liverpool. He had to wait for an agonising moment when he turned round to see if it was going in. Bob Latchford found them square, got a header in, and for Everton it trickled agonisingly away. Sorts of waving going on those benches because the coach is as keyed up as the players and supporters. And it's because there's so much tension in these games that we haven't seen a clear pattern defined yet. Gordon Lee, the Everton manager, just chatting there, second from the right. Everton have perhaps made the better openings, but still a very tight match. Case. Thomas was high, but he got the worst of it. And Pat Partridge going across to have a word and maybe show the card. Jimmy Case on the far side has been tangling with Dave Thomas, and he caught him high there. So Case gets the card. Partridge blows for half-time. Everton may feel they had the better of the half. There were nearer things at the Liverpool end, one or two scares Clements called upon rather more often than would. But as so often happens in derby games, one side cancelling out the other. Grounds in football, a true hall of memories. And Everton celebrating their centenary this year, formed in 1878. And perhaps the biggest compliment you could pay this club is that since the Football League started, that's 90 years ago, in 1888, Everton have only been out of the First Division in 4 seasons in those 90 years. Floodlights on to compete with the sun at the beginning of the second half. Everton playing now from the right in the white shorts. Dobson, Thomas. This Case, Thomas again though. Walsh. Nicely done. Oh, Nolte! If he'd made contact, it would surely have been a goal. Everton got a man over on the far post. The cross was good. Nolte went full length and didn't quite make it. Clements, I don't think, could have done much about that if Nolte had got his head to the ball. Billy Wright. Well, Everton certainly playing a lot better than they did in the Merseyside derby here last year when they lost 1-0 and didn't perhaps compete as well as they might have done. Certainly competing today. And Liverpool have got a job on their hands. Here's Thomas. Walsh, Thomas again. Nicely around, Latchford's coming forward. Hansen checked him well. Johnson. Linesman's flagging that the ball was out. Johnson not so sure. Pajic. Everton's turn in the second half to face the sun. That's Hansen to Thompson. And Hansen was caught there by the boot of Mick Walsh when he played the ball. And Neil has had a go at Walsh off the ball. Well, I don't think Pat Partridge saw that. He was following the play. It's died down now. Todd. The referee, in fact, does know that something went on there, and it's a good piece of refereeing this. Pat Partridge, at the corner of his eyes, knew something had happened. He's going to ask the linesman. Well, I had a fairly good view of that, and Mickey Walsh went in late on Hansen, and Neil then had a go at Walsh. That's the sequence of events. Pat Partridge sensibly checking with the linesman, and I should think it's going to be Neil and Walsh he'll speak to. Good teamwork there between referee and linesman, because the incident has now been sorted out. Would have gone unnoticed by many. Free kick, and there have been many of those. In fact, we counted 30 free kicks, I think, in the first half alone, 15 to each side. Not all for fouls, incidentally. There were some offsides as well in that. But it has been, at times, a fairly scrappy match. Dalglish. Johnson. But that pass, awkward for Highway. Ball was out of play. Here's King. Thomas. Pajic. Again, plenty of blue shirts forward here. Thomas. Three waiting on the far post. Dobson is in there. It's going to fall for Andy King. Oh, yes, he's got it. Andy King has scored. And Everton have taken the lead with a typical King goal. And Goodison Park goes absolutely mad. Would you believe it? In the last 14 league matches between the two sides, it's only Everton's second goal. Gordon Lee salutes it, as well he might, and the scorer was Andy King. It was a volley that he put away so well in the top corner. And with 58 minutes gone, the stalemate is broken and King brings the derby to life. Just when Liverpool had threatened at the other end, Everton get the reward for their first half attacking. Now then, will Liverpool come from behind as they have so often before? Souness, a row off the ball again between Case and Dobson. Andy King with his third goal on Match of the Day this season. Neil takes the kick. Thompson. And fancy being an Everton supporter now. They can see daylight after 7 years of sheer domination by Liverpool. And their reception for that goal speaks volumes. Johnson. And it's put out by Kenyon, but I've not seen Goodison like this for a long, long time. The fans giving Everton all they've got now after so much criticism of their style in recent weeks. An hour gone. Dobson. This is Pajic. Here's King, Andy King, who comes from Luton, a southerner, has suddenly started a war here, in the best sense of the word. A war of two tremendous football teams, and Everton have edged ahead. Pace. Phil Neal, space here, offside Dalglish. Offside the first time, not then. Oh, and he's got his foot up slightly on George Wood, who doesn't seem to object too much to that. It was an accident. And do you remember the semi-final back in '77 when Everton drew 2-2 with Liverpool and thought they'd won and had a goal disallowed 3 minutes from the end? They still talk about that here. Well, maybe now a chance for revenge, who knows? 1-0, Walsh. Thomas. Walsh got trodden on when the ball had gone by Souness. Neil was in there as well. And Dobson trying to cool them down and say, look, we've got the goal lead this time. Pajic to Thomas. Pace's tackle. No Emlyn Hughes to urge Liverpool back into the match today. But it's experience they've got to turn to now. Pajic. Johnson shoved him off, and Dalglish failed to control it. Hansen. Ray Kennedy. Dalglish and Billy Wright. Oh, Alan Kennedy, deflection, the flag's up. Offside's been given. The flag's up on the far side. Johnson thinks he scored, and it's not been given. And Liverpool protest, but the flag was up before Johnson put the ball in the net. And somebody on the Liverpool side was in an offside position when that ball skidded across the area in the first place. Johnson thought he'd scored, but the goal is disallowed. Now then, what a strange thing when you think about the disallowed goal in the semi-final 2 years ago. Then Everton were moaning, now it's Liverpool's turn. And the score is still 1-0 to Everton. Terry McDermott waiting to come on. Oh, mistake, and Latchford's nearly in. Thomas might be in. Still Thomas. Oh, off the line by Alan Hansen, was it? Yes. Thomas holds his head, because that would have put it beyond any doubt at all. He beat the goalkeeper, and big Alan Hansen was on the line to keep Liverpool in the match. Ray Kennedy to Alan Kennedy. Again, they're trying to feed Dalglish, but again, Everton shadowing him everywhere. The They're going to take Jimmy Case off and replace him with Terry McDermott, Liverpool. And McDermott straight into the match from the corner, except that the linesman hadn't got back, so it'll have to be retaken. It was Ray Kennedy, it came off Nolte to Thomas, now McDermott. Ray Kennedy! Oh! Shaved the post. Right foot as well. Kennedy producing perhaps Liverpool's best shot of the match so far. We're in the second minute of injury time now. Was on by Walsh. That's it! Everton have beaten Liverpool. Andy King, the scorer. 7 is his number, and 7 years it is since this last happened. Celebrations by the Evertonians. And emotion all round. Bob Paisley, who's seen everything in football, accepts the defeat, but King stays to salute the crowd. Liverpool's run of 23 league games unbeaten is over, and all round Everton have laid the Liverpool bogey at last.
You're superstitious, Andy. It's been 7 years, you're number 7, the winning goal.
No, I'm not. I just couldn't have dreamed about it, you know. It is beyond a dream.
You're not even a Liverpudlian, you're from down south.
I'm from down south, but I'm one tonight, don't we? I'll be out celebrating with them tonight.
What's the atmosphere like in the dressing room?
Magnificent, you can imagine it, you know. It's all celebrations, champagne. I think I've had a few too many already. I don't know if I need to go.
Their appeal. Well, that victory keeps Manchester United in 6th place, although they're now level on points with Manchester City. And they today were held 2-2 at home by West Bromwich Albion, the team 1 point above them. Nottingham Forest also drew 0-0 at Southampton, so Forest and Everton are now the only unbeaten teams in the league. We've witnessed a variety of emotions at Goodison Park today, the joy and disappointment on the field, and the agony and frustration of just having to sit and watch, like Everton's injured captain, Mike Lyons. Good night.
It was, the lads were tremendous, they've done everything right. You know, we're unlucky not to get a couple more goals, you know, and now I know that the Liverpool players are feeling now the way that I've felt for the last few years, and so really I've got no pity for them at all, because I've felt this, and the lads have felt this for the last few years at all, and anyway, it's great anyway, yeah, can't say anymore.
What was the atmosphere like on the bench in those last few minutes?
Well, I just hope that you never had anywhere listening to us, because it was we were getting a lot of abuse on the line. It was I had the shivers at one stage, I think, just getting the lads going, and I'd like to think that the lads, you know, none of us are playing next week. We might all be left out this side, but it's going to be the same all the way through, and that's the typical of the spirit that we've got on this side. It's why we're doing so well, you know. The lads, I mean, we come off the pitch tonight, and it was the young apprentice from Wales, and as we're walking off, he was crying, and he's from Wales, and he's only been here for 9 months, and that was typical. It's great.